All right.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to call the Friday, July 25th, 2014, Reaching Across Illinois Library System regular board meeting to order at 1, whatever time it is. Emily, could you roll call, please?
Sarah Armstrong. Here. Murray Barr.
Here.
Dave Barry.
Here.
Karen Bershey. Bill
Present.
Coffey.
Oh, they just.
Hi, Karen. Hello.
Yep. Okay.
There you are. Okay.
Bill Coffey.
Present.
Kate Hall. Here. Nan Hilliard.
Here.
Mary Jo Matusek. Kathy Parker.
Here.
Carrie Pearson.
Here in Wheeling.
Susan Bellhauer.
Here.
John Sayers. Ben Shapiro.
Here.
Laura Turner.
I'm here. I'm on the phone.
Great.
Dane Ward.
All right. Thanks, Emily. Can we do recognition of visitors in Burr Ridge, please?
Emily Feister, Rails.
Dee Brennan, Rails.
Rose Chenoweth Rails.
Mary Witt, Rails.
Ann Slaughter, Rails. Brooks, Rails.
Mark Hatch, Rails.
Brian Hebel, Rails.
Sorry, Brian.
Brian Smith, Rails.
Brian.
Jim Krieger, Rails.
Carolyn Ann Scarlett.
Change it.
Diversity.
Is there anyone in Bolingbrook? No. Karen, Susan, is anyone with you in Coal Valley?
No, there is not.
Okay. Karen, anyone with you in East Peoria?
Yes.
Hi, Kendall Orson, Rails.
All right. Hi, Kendall. Is anyone in Rockford? I'm going to say no. Carrie, anyone with you in Wheeling?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Is anyone in Galesburg? Okay. Anyone at the State Library?
We are at the State Library. This is Lauren Tucker and
Pat Norris.
Pat Bowes.
Cindy Coletti.
Yeah, they're in a different room this time.
Okay, thanks. Anyone in Kankakee? Anyone in LaSalle? Anyone at New Lenox? And is there anyone in Quincy? All right. Okay, so can I have a motion to adopt the agenda for July 25th?
So moved.
Second.
Nan moved and Ben seconded it. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
All right, great.
Hi.
Oh, okay. Let use of that little end one there. So now we have item 6, oath of office for the new election of the new officers. Bill will do the oath
Since you are.
since I
one
am
of
a
the
new officer, which I didn't,
okay.
or new.
All of the new members should have the oath of office on the back of the list of the nominating committee. And do we need to stand? That make it official? Or-
Sure.
Would all of the new members stand?
Get the cameras going all freaky.
And those out in the other offices don't have to stand. Yes.
We wouldn't know if they did.
Following is the oath that just repeat after me in unison. I do solemnly swear
I will solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
of member of the Board of Directors
of member of the Board of Directors
of the Reaching Across Illinois Library System according to the best of my ability.
of the Board of Directors, Library System, according to my ability.
That makes it official.
Official mess. Yay! It was Renee taking pictures.
And Carolyn, too.
Oh, you got some. I don't care, really.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So, welcome to all the new members and to the old members who are re-sworn in. So that's okay.
Not old.
older, established.
Previous.
Pre.
Continue.
I feel old.
Continuing.
So we'll go with that. All right. So with that, we'll move on to the election of the officers. We have a slate of candidates that are presented. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I just need a motion to bring this slate forward.
So moved.
We'll give that to Dave as his first official, and then we like to do that. And then did I have a second? You want Kate and Murray want to fight it out? Okay, we'll give it to Murray. All right. So all in favor of moving the slate forward, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, great. So we have a new slate. So take it over, Bill.
Well,
Congratulations.
this is when you were supposed to make your comments, and you've already
I
implied
made them already.
that you're not going to do that.
I have no comments to make. It's been a great year, people.
The only
We did a lot.
comment the one comment I would make for Kathy is we thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
And appreciate all.
Been a pleasure.
Yeah, right. We have plans for her.
And the only thing I would add, somebody asked me if I had a vision, and I said I was on the strategic planning committee, and that's our vision. And I think with Dee and everybody on the board working on that, we will be very successful with that. The only other thing I wanted to add is, so everybody knows, I have a slight pet peeve against acronyms. And I think we have to be careful because our minutes go to not only us, who know all of those acronyms, but, this is my thing on my own library board as well. So I just would like to say I'm against overuse of acronyms and leave it at that, and we'll go on with the agenda. Thank you all.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the Rails board minutes from last month, which is June 20th, 2014, and only members of the previous board can vote on the approval of these minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ben, seconded by Kate. Is there any discussion on the previous board minutes? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? No opposed, and any abstentions of the previous board. Okay, next item is the financial reports and expenditures, and that's Jim.
Good afternoon.
Good
afternoon.
Attached in your board package is the financial statements for the month of June, which is the end of the year of fiscal year 2014. And so we have marked the statements unaudited because they are not the finals, and the finals will be presented to you at the June board meeting, as well as the results of the audit. An additional schedule that we present in the report this month, a government-wide balance sheet, which shows all of our assets on an accrual basis, which means that pretty much the basic difference is that we have added our fixed assets, which are depreciated to this schedule. And we have fixed assets now. Fixed assets are primarily now Burr Ridge. Geneva is still on the books, which we just sold in July 15th, and the Coal Valley facility. So we will be making some changes to these financials, mostly from the payment of fiscal year 2014 expenses during the month of July that we'll be booking as an addition to the 2014. But they're pretty close to final form now with what will be shown. Our statement of net assets indicates our total fund balances were approximately $26.9 million. Most of these assets are in the form of cash and investments, which are over $23 million. The net assets is an increase of $2.9 million from our June 30th, 2013 balance, and most of that has come from our operations this year, which were added about $3.3 million, which was above our budget, mostly because our spending was under budget. And we did have a slight loss on the sale of the East Peoria facility, about $0.4 million, which reduced the net assets a bit. Our capital assets are $3.2 million. They decreased $2.0 million from the prior year due to the sale of East Peoria. And as I mentioned, we did complete the sale of the Geneva facility on July 15th. And so that facility and some equipment that was there was removed from our books. We realized proceeds of $1,085,000 and change from that. That went into our July cash balances. Probably the most significant item or events, series of events that happened this year is that we were paid, we received our APC payments on a timely basis. This is the first time since Rails has been formed that we received the entire fiscal year original appropriation of just under $10 million within the fiscal year. We received the last payment late in June, and we had gotten a supplemental appropriation of $142,000, which we have designated to use for the E-Read program. We got that. We were awarded that late in the year, and that payment came on July 11th. So we are entirely up to date on the receipt of our payments from the state. In prior years, we were getting as much as over 50% of our APC payments in the fiscal year following the conclusion of the current fiscal year. So it was a very nice improvement. There's our cash balance, as I mentioned, was $23.4 million. It would represent about 27 and a half months of general fund operations. I do expect that coverage to decline over the first half of the year as we have a slowdown of APC payments and we spend on a regular basis. We did, in June, we invested another $4 million in certificate of deposits to get a little higher interest rate, and we have nearly $8 million invested now. Our year-to-date expenditures, the general fund ended up just over $1.2 million favorable under the budget. It's from the same areas that have been the favorable primarily through the year. In professional services and contractual services, we also were under on personnel. Our salaries were about 2% under budget, so we held that down. And that is pretty much it. Can I answer any questions from that, especially from new members?
Perhaps in light of Bill's directive on the use of acronyms with APC, while I think everyone knows.
Good point. I'm the first violator. Area and per capita grant. We receive an area and per capita grant from the state every year that is just below $10 million.
Which is our full funding, our funding.
Right, that's our budget.
Yes.
Our annual operating.
So we refer to that as the APC.
The money that you placed in that higher interest, how do you decide how much money would you place that in account?
There's no formula to it. We consider what we are going to need for our current operations. We actually have some guidelines in our fiscal accountability policy to reserve a few months liquid. We are much more than that. So we had been. Our first couple years of existence, there was a lot of uncertainty in the funding and when we would get it, so we did not invest anything into certificates of deposit. And now that we've accumulated a pretty fair amount and have a very good coverage on our operations, we've been diverting some of that now.
Thank you.
Any other questions from any of the sites? If there are no other questions, okay. No other questions. Is there a motion to approve the financial report?
I'll move.
Second.
Moved by Kathy, second by Ben. Any further discussion? All in favor may vote now.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the approval of expenditures. And Jim will give us an
And
insight on that.
yes, in the back of the financial report is a listing of all payments that we have made, our check and voucher register for the month of June. It's an itemized listing, and which includes also at the back an itemized listing of our credit card payments, which were approximately $16,000. And we present this every month for approval. And this list also not only shows checks, but it shows amounts that were transferred via ACH, for example, for payroll. We show all amounts going out. Yes.
A question or comment. I got the mailing from Sickage about for the audit, and one of the things they asked was how in our whatever capacity I was, which was as a board member, know that steps are being taken, that there is no fraud. And I was just kind of curious how other board members actually answered that.
Are we allowed to say?
Well, if you don't want to say, you don't have to, but I was just curious how people, I said I honestly didn't know because I was just counting on the integrity of the staff. Because I'm not there to, stand over either Dee or Jim's head, to look at everything, and neither is any of you. So I'm just curious how.
Well, but I think it means the step, and maybe we need a report from Jim as to what processes are being done. But I know that in my own public library, that is what we get. Is that?
It's a standard part of all.
Yeah, well, our auditor always comes in and he just kind of laughs and says, I have to ask these questions, like, are you committing fraud is what one of the questions is.
Right.
What are you supposed to say?
But we do have policies in place of financial accountability.
And checks. We have,
and
yeah,
that's why we
checks.
have the checks. I mean,
I
those are
answered
all,
that we have policies in place that every month.
you review them.
Yes, and that's what I said
All the
too.
checks are shown, all the amounts that are on credit cards are shown, and we review those on a monthly basis, and then every year we have it audited by our own internal staff and outside staff, and that's how we ensure that there's
Right.
no fraud.
Yeah.
Yes, that's pretty much what I put too.
Okay, so I'm just
Yep.
I just got mine yesterday in the mail.
all choked up over mine.
Yes.
Any questions for Jim? From any of the sites?
No questions.
This would need a roll call.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to approve that the check voucher register for, it says April here, but for June 2014 in the amount of $793,140.97? A motion?
I'll move.
Dane made the motion, and Murray seconded. And this requires a roll call vote. Emily?
Sarah Armstrong. Aye. Murray Barr.
Yes.
Dave Barrett.
Yes.
Karen Bershey.
Yes.
Coffey.
Yes?
Kate Hall.
Yes.
Nan Hilliard.
Yes.
Kathy Parker.
Yes.
Carrie Pearson.
Yes. Yes.
Susan Philhauer.
Yes.
Ben Shapiro.
Yes.
Laura Turner.
Yes.
Dane Ward.
The motion carries. Thank you, Jim. Next item on the agenda is 8.1, reports from the Rails president. So this is where you get to give your speech. Kathy.
I have nothing.
Kathy has
Keeping
nothing.
it simple.
8.2 is the Rails Board Committee reports by the committee chairs. First is the Consortia Committee, and John is not here today, and Dee will report on the July 14th meeting of the Consortia Committee.
Yes, we had a very, very interesting and productive meeting. I actually wrote about it in my written report. This is a committee for the benefit of the new members as well. And you see how I spelled all those acronyms?
That's wonderful.
I didn't even know you had a pet peeve about that. So we have various consortia in Rails. I think we have 11 of them. Do you think that's right, Ann? Yes? And some of them are known as LSAPs, which is Local Library System Automation Program. And those are ones that receive funding from us, the state, to some funding, not complete funding. And then there are other independent consortia that don't get any state funding. And then, of course, there are all of the standalone libraries, of which I guess Bartlett and Fremont. No, not a standalone?
Yes.
Oh, you're CCS, okay. So anyway, representatives of all of the consortia meet, and the upshot of the meeting a couple of weeks ago is that they've all agreed that it's time to do a coordinated planning, and actually talking about the cost benefits of some mergers. We have 3 of the 4 LSAPs are now on the same platform. Well, SWAN will be on, right, in a year. So it really, and I'm not talking about governance mergers necessarily at all. I'm talking about, better use of resources, better collaboration, all of that, everything that will improve resource sharing, essentially. So it was really great meeting. So we're going to put a committee together to work on that big picture stuff.
That's great.
Yep.
Any questions for Dee on the consortia committee? Thank you, Dee.
What are the types of issues or projects that could be coordinated? I'm not at all sure when you mentioned the kind of resource sharing.
Sure.
But what does that mean?
Well, for example, all of the catalogers, especially if they're on the same, if the consortia are on the same platform, could share knowledge and share training. SWAN right now is in the process of working on migrating to CERSI Dynex from III, and they are having regular meetings. In fact, there's one on next Monday of all of the CERSI Dynex consortia directors come and help them, give them advice on profiling. We're working on a discovery overlay project too, where to try to find if there's a way of putting an overlay over all these consortia that will help the end user find things more easily.
This discovery service?
Yep. Yep. So just some examples.
Great, thanks.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Was there any discussion, Dee, about, as part of this project, also discussing similar loan rules? Or is it really just better resource sharing by having better access?
Some people may want to take that on. I'm not. No.
It can't even be organized within SWAN itself.
In the last couple of years, it's come up a number of times in relation to this. I was curious if that discussion.
I think they have to get it there. I think you all have to get your act together internally. It's kind of a layers, right? Yeah.
It's a process.
Oh, well, it would certainly be desirable.
Could we see same loan periods and loan rules in the next 15 years? God, wouldn't they be great? I mean, that's how I feel.
Fisticuffs.
Fisticuffs.
Any other?
I'm just happy that every meeting there's
What's
more
really good
progress.
is that you can get all the people from all these different
Yeah.
entities at the table.
I know,
And that's
exactly.
really important because 20 years ago you didn't have that at
Yeah,
all.
to start talking and really start talking about the
Yeah.
difficult stuff too.
So just realizing, I mean, that's useful, and of course, as we're finding out how the number of actual vendors are, I don't want to say imploding, but they're merging and merging, it's an interesting.
Yeah, that's for
Well,
sure.
Pretty soon it's probably just going to be one great big system.
Well,
would
and
that be an innovative thing?
Uh-huh.
We're in a new
That's funny.
millennium, huh? Yeah, so.
What is the shift over the 20 years? Why is there interest in coordinating now? Is it a financial matter?
Well, I think that's a very interesting question. I think it's a political question in some ways. I mean, there has been a lot of shuffling around too. I mean, there are libraries that aren't in CCS. I'll just pick CCS as an example because I know a little bit more about that. And for this particular case, there were libraries that didn't used to be in it. They're in it now. There are libraries that were in it now that didn't. Well, you know what I mean. It's been changed. I mean, Evanston hasn't been in CCS very long, for example. So there's been a lot of shifting. when there were more systems and the LSAP was affiliated with the system. And unfortunately, the systems were, I would say, competitive to some degree, and so that it was almost frowned upon for the LSAPs to talk to each other because they were, instead they should, I don't think I'm saying anything incorrect here.
Yeah.
So, we're not in that mode anymore. We're collaborating. We want to work together to make it better for the end user. That's what this is all about. And we make it better for the end user by collaborating. So.
But I think that Illinois has always had a very strong resource sharing philosophy, but that with all of the other changes that have been going on with the systems and finances and things, that it's kind of been put a little bit on the back burner. Not that people haven't thought it was important, but that now that things are more settled, now there's time. Now
we can
there
talk
aren't
about
these
it.
other, combining of all the system issues and other things going on that it can be discussed.
And I think over the last 20 years, the technology changes have been so significant. I remember, again, 20 years ago, we were, at the time in the state where I was, we were saying, well, if you're not Z39.50 compliant,
Right.
then we don't want to talk to your software system because your software system can't talk to anybody else. And now we don't even talk about Z39.50. So that's just one nugget. So I think it's more fluid even to transfer yourself than it used to be, because 20 years ago, 15 years ago, you were still converting records. So.
Well, and I think too, even though in the last 7-8 years with the merges, we've had a number of system merges, just from like larger group to a smaller group, and now we're down to 3. It's been a difficult transitional period, but it's showing that we're doing it better each time. So I think that the members are also starting to realize there's a lot of value to this sharing, and I think it's great that they're all talking and getting together on a regular basis.
Well, and to me, this is a first step in, if something can be constructed, and then enticing those standalones who have left to come, and join. Because right now, they're, most of the ones that are standalones don't necessarily need to join, but they could join if they wanted to, because it's fun. But I mean, seriously, Carolyn knows I'm joking.
Well, bless your heart.
You did it.
I wish the LSATs. But I mean, I do think that if everyone else, it's
There's a lot of libraries that believe very strongly in being standalone.
Yes.
And they have very good
Morton
reasons
Grove,
for it.
Ben.
Well, I mean, Arlington Heights.
Yes.
Arlington Heights.
And I think that if there was an easier way for them to share.
Well, they do share through LinkedIn,
Right.
which
Right.
is that kind of that discovery overlay
Right.
piece that I'm talking about.
Right.
Which is, So it's a complicated issue because it
is.
is about money and
Yeah,
it's
there's a
about
lot of funding,
politics. So.
Job preservation in terms of one particular library?
Okay.
Any other questions for Dee on the consortia committee? Next item is 8.2.2, delivery committee. Kate?
We are going to be meeting in September. The staff will be sending out a survey to.
I think it's out.
It went out yesterday.
Sorry. As a non-Swan library, I knew it was going out, but I didn't know if it had officially gone out. Requesting information. So we'll be looking at the results of the survey and meeting sometime in September.
Set that up.
Executive committee, your last.
We haven't met.
Okay. Operations committee, Ben?
Thank you. We met jointly with the policy committee. The significant piece of thinking that came before us was the changes to the bylaws. We discussed a couple of minor changes, which I'll let Dee discuss, but the committee as a whole recommends adoption of the changes as proposed with the minor changes we added on top of it in terms of wording.
We'll get to that obviously
Get to that
later
later.
in the. Yep.
And policy committee, and just so all of the new members know, the operating and policy committee meet jointly, and we rotate who the chairman is, so that's why Ben was reporting on both the operations and policy committee. So that we met this morning and
Had a great time.
had a great time. No question.
Exciting.
Because Kate was there.
Any questions on the operations or policy committee? Rails reports first being from the executive director, Dee Brennan.
Thank you. Yes, I have a few highlights, a few things I want to point out in my written report, and then a few extra things. You'll see I've organized it by our strategic plan goals. And my goal, I thought having my goals at the top of the report would be helpful. It certainly is helpful to me, remind myself what I'm supposed to be doing. I want to say that we are doing a lot of hiring. As you know, we have a lot of positions that not a lot, but some positions that we're adding, and we are filling them as fast as we can, thanks to our HR department. We did just hire a member engagement manager, Debbie Baskey, who used to work at North Suburban and did some work at Innovation Experts. You may have seen it out there. She's very excited about it. I think you could, yeah. We've
announced actually yet, or
pardon me?
has that been announced elsewhere, or this is new news?
We're going to put in the e-newsletter next.
So it's new news.
Next week.
Yeah, it just happened.
New to you.
Debbie's announced it though. She asked if she could.
On Facebook.
Yeah.
She's very excited.
We did get an acceptance for the another position, and then we have two. I think do we have two more that are posted? I think continuing education and consulting assistant, and just that one, and an accounting, and that's a vacant position in accounting. So we're doing a lot of hiring. We've done a map that some of you here in Burr Ridge have been looking at. I'm going to ask Ryan to put it up on the computer. It's not going to be very large, but you'll be able to get a we have the files electronically. We're going to have it in all of our facilities. We'll make the electronic files available. But basically, this is resource sharing in Rails, and the different colors are the consortia. The gray, I think, are the standalone libraries. It's hard to see on this. It's not a large scale. I think a major takeaway here is that the white space is unserved. That is where there is no public library service available in all that white space. So we'll be, as I say, we think this is a really important visual explanation. Question? Is there a question?
I think it was awe. I think it was awe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like, look at all that white, yeah. I also wanted to just say, we're going to talk about the committee appointments, et cetera, later, but it has been pointed out to me that we also need to consider the ethics officer, the FOIA officer, and the OMA designee. So I think that's all I wanted to say about any additional comments. Any questions about my report?
I was curious, and I can't find it. I marked down that it was on page 2. So the unserved new initiative you were talking about.
Okay.
The Public Policy Committee.
You mean in my goal there? Am I looking at the right
I should
thing?
have highlighted it, and I didn't. I was curious. It was talking about, yes, unserved in Illinois. I was curious if that was going to be, if they were working in conjunction at all with the committee that Rick McCarthy had been appointed to.
No.
No, okay. This
No.
is just a
This
new
just happened.
way to try
Yep.
and get to that issue.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean that one where the government entities to consolidate a little bit.
Yes.
The local government consolidation. Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's like the flip side, which is of consolidating some of the,
Right.
taking some of that white space and consolidating it into,
Yes.
yeah, or some,
Or also consolidating maybe some
really
of the
small
really,
entities.
Yeah, to help.
No, then in fact, you may notice that Jane is not here. Rhonda,
did notice that.
They're, they're all down at the Illinois Library Association orientation, because they're on ILA committees, and also they are attending on my behalf the Public Policy Committee meeting because this is going to come up.
Right.
Any other questions for Dee on the executive director's report? Next item is the rail service and operations report, and since you are here, you will present it, I presume.
Yes. Again, this has been reorganized as we were telling you it was going to be. You'll see statistics included at the end. I think the only thing I can really add to this is to say that we did have 6 vehicles delivered yesterday, Mark? 2 here. 2 cars. Yep.
We've had 2 delivered so far, we have 5 to go.
Okay, all right. We're actively engaged. I signed a big check yesterday, and so did you, right?
Okay, yes.
So did Bill.
For vehicles. So that's really good because now that we have more people.
Getting a bunch of
and
new
we're getting-
vans, I know that.
Kendall?
We can hear you.
Yes, a bunch of new vans. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
Welcome.
They have to be live.
So, does anybody have any questions?
I was just curious if, and I know Joe isn't here, so this may not be able
He's at ILA too.
So, who's at ILA? When the Management Association's schedule for workshops would be out, I'm just curious because they've been pushing their workshops, and I know I've been looking at them trying to
I don't know.
figure out. Okay, that's
Sorry.
fine. I'll talk to Joe. And then I was also wondering with the statistics, if there was any possibility that in addition to the monthly, would it be possible to get a year-to-date along that as we go on?
Sure.
Very helpful, Kato.
Of course.
Actually, I do find those helpful.
That makes. Yeah.
Well, just so that we can see not just month to month, but year to year.
Yep, you bet. Good idea.
Can I ask a question about the Management Association, following up on that? Is it possible, is this one of those areas that could be a multi-type kind of?
Yes.
Or academic libraries that are?
Yes. We would be happy to do that. I mean, the reason that this is an experiment, but we weren't sure how to, we think it would vary from academic library to academic library, who would be who would be the person who would be in charge of this, like if you're a big school and you have a whole HR department, or if you're a little tiny school. But there's nothing that says that we can't talk more about how it would work for academic libraries.
I think everybody would benefit from
Okay.
this kind of thing, even if you have an HR department.
Okay, then we will confer with you.
Great.
Okay, great. That's great.
Any other questions on the service and operations report? Item 8.4 is the Illinois State Library report. Do we have someone reporting at the State Library? Hello, State Library.
Are they?
They're connected?
We can't hear you.
Yes,
There you
I'm
are.
sorry, I was not quite
Oh, that's okay.
used to our controller here.
Okay, we know how that is.
But I wanted to share 2 things with you. We used last week, our e-news from last week to announce that we have a draft of our proposed system rules for comment by the public and the library community. And we will be going to that later in your agenda. I just wanted to mention that along with that draft, there is a blog, and it's very important for people who have comments and questions to enter them on that blog so that we can respond to them in a thoughtful way and share those those responses with everybody who is interested in them. And that comment period will be ongoing on that blog through the 18th. We hope to if we make further revisions, present them to the ISLAC committee at their September meeting, have a vote of approval, and take them through the JCAR process and ultimate approval by JCAR. There will be another comment period during that process. So this is not a process that will end quickly, and there is lots of time to comment, and we want to receive as many as possible. The other announcement I wanted to make in today's e-news, which may be out or not yet, we will also be announcing the available competitive grants for digital imaging of historical cultural collections. Those applications will be due on October the 1st. We will be doing a webinar to explain the application process on September the 3rd. We're looking for grant reviewers, anybody who doesn't think they will be submitting an application, but would be interested in serving on the committee that will review the applications. We would be happy to take those offers and consider them. Also today, our web page on our grants page will be live so you can view the application and the supporting documentation starting today. And I would be happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Well, I'll just say that we're thrilled about the announcement, and I almost stole your thunder, Lauren, but I decided I'd let you announce it because I figured you would, and I was so excited to see it. As you know, we have already started some programs on, in Rails, in anticipation that this would hopefully happen. I mentioned the Lyrasis partnership with bringing some of their staff in who are expert in digitization to help libraries identify, help them understand. We're getting a great response to that, so this is a great partnership with the State Library. We'll be doing everything we can to be helpful to make this successful, so it's really great news.
So, Lauren, this is Kate Hall. How much money has been set aside for these? Or how much money will be allocated, hopefully?
I don't know the total allocation. The grant amounts run from
5 to 100,000. Yeah. 5,000 to 100,000.
Yeah. It's $5,000 up to $100,000 per award.
Right. But how much money is there to give out?
Total pool.
Total, yes.
Oh,
We don't have it determined. We have several things in the hopper.
Well, I think we will put a cap on it when we get the applications. I don't think that we have a total in mind yet.
But don't you have an allocation?
We have dedicated, and again, this flexibility is in part a response to the fact that the General Assembly has not resolved what they're going to do with the income tax surcharge. How much money that we actually have for this could be a factor involved with this. So we believe that we have sufficient funds in hand, regardless of what happens, to fund a significant grant offering here.
So what estimate, just any like even an estimate? I'm just curious, like, I know
$1 million
I know that it
or-
depends, but it, you know, if you have 200,000 versus $1 million, that's a, you know.
But we have
or
$1
if you
million.
have- Okay, that was great. I was just looking for a number. I know the number isn't set in stone, but thank you.
And one more question, will this money be available to all types of libraries, or are you going to segment it by type of library?
All types of libraries.
It's open to all types of libraries.
The academics will get something out of this.
Maybe we can do it together.
Yes, that's even more
That'd
exciting.
be really
Yep.
augment our.
Any other questions for the State Library? Thank you, Lauren. Next item on the agenda is 9.1, and that is the Rails response to ISL request for additional information for APC grant application. D.
Yes, thank you. Yes, the State Library, we got the word at last month's board meeting, actually, during last month's board meeting, that the State Library had conditionally improved our area and per capita grant.
Approved. You said improved.
Oh, conditionally approved our area and per capita grant application. And just for the new board members, we have to, every year, in order to receive the grant, we have to submit a plan of service and a budget. And explain what we're going to do with the money, essentially. And so they conditionally approved it with some questions. And so our response to those questions and suggestions is due August 1st. So this is something that the board will approve, hopefully. In your packet, you have our responses. You have a couple documents. The first is a cover memo that I wrote that just sort of gives you a real quick overview of what the issues are. And then a letter that I wrote to Anne with some help, with some explanation and responses, more in-depth responses to their questions. And then the actual plan of service itself and budget with, track changes so you can see where the actual changes take place. Some of what the board, of what the State Library pointed out were some errors that we had made. There were some discrepancies in our vehicle inventories. We corrected that. The bigger issues were focused on our reserve and some increased expenditures related to that, and then on our taking on some of the work that innovation experts had been doing. So I explained that you will remember that the board discussed being more conservative than having a 12-month reserve, that there was consensus that you would prefer an 18-month reserve. Explained that in here, explained why with quite an in-depth explanation of how we got all the money that we have. A lot of it was left over from when we started legacy, and then a lot of it has come from real estate sales, and we don't really anticipate doing a lot more real estate sales. And so we explained that we did increase some of our plans. For example, we raised the threshold on the HR consulting to libraries with budgets of $500,000 or less instead of $250,000 or less. We lowered the fee. We are increasing. We want to increase our the video conferencing sites that we have, so we added some expenditures for equipment. We are going to be spending money on this building. You may have noticed the parking lot was redone. We need to fix the roof. We may need to fix the chillers, given that they're not working today. Oh, they're back up? Okay. And so we've increased some other expenses as well, but I think we want to be prudent as well. And as far as innovation experts goes, they asked us how we'd be tracking this, and how would be tracking the different contracts. And then confirm that we will not be charging any fees, that this will be on a cost recovery basis only. So that's the gist of it.
Okay.
Any
questions? That is. we don't
Is this
need to-
gone to the state library?
No, it goes, you have to
They've read it
approve
now.
it.
Oh, that's right.
And then it goes.
We did have one edit, at least from the.
Yeah, there's a couple
So
things
on a
that,
sheet.
that came in at the last minute.
Final one.
Yes, thank you, Nan. Sorry, we didn't fix that before. That's the, what happens when you have a shared folder.
So do we need, should we approve that now?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the response to the ISL request for additional information? Nan, motion, is there a second?
Sarah.
Sarah, second, okay.
Yeah.
A new member. Any other discussion? All in favor of approving the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Aye, okay. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Next item
Thank
on the
you.
agenda is the board committee appointments.
Yes.
And this is in your packet, and Dee, can you,
Yes, so we do have committees. We have,
And they do things.
I'm trying, oh, thanks.
I don't have this.
We have executive committee. We provided you with a list of the committees and the charges where we had them. We don't have a charge for the delivery committee. We'll have to do, Emily looked everywhere.
We just put all things delivery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all things
How's that?
delivery.
delivery.
Charging them.
So,
Look and see, I don't think that
I,
was one. I don't.
well, you were the chair before, right? I just remembered
Yeah, did
that.
you make
Was
a
there?
charge?
Do you remember? If
I
there
don't
was one?
remember. That was like 3 years ago.
Right. Well, we probably didn't do one. So anyway, we should do that. So essentially,
We'll put that on the list.
yeah, the executive committee consists of the officers and one at-large at-large member who is elected by the board. We have the delivery committee, we have the consortia committee, we have the policy committee, we have the operations committee.
And we will have a new committee.
We will have a new committee, which will be the System Membership Standards Committee. So essentially, people at this time get to play musical chairs with the committees and decide what committees you would like to be on. You don't have to say it today.
No.
We just
But just
need
let
to let Bill
Dee know
know
or
and
let
let me
him-
know,
right.
and we'll see what we can.
And I have been chairman of the policy committee, and since Mary Jo, the new vice president, we are assuming, but haven't talked to her yet, but are assuming that she will become chairman of the policy committee as well.
And Kate has been chair of delivery committee.
And
John Sayers has been chair of
Right.
consortia committee. Ben has been chair of operations.
And if you want us to, I know I actually had from my notes, we were supposed to be prepared to let you know this month, but I'm not. But should we sign up for two? How many, is there a number for each of us to serve on? Or-
There's no limit, really. No.
Okay, so we'll let you know.
And then we do need to, currently, the ethics officer is Carrie Pearson, the FOIA officer is Kate Hall, the OMA designee, I don't know who that is.
You were on.
You were.
Oh, I'm the,
Yeah.
I'm the OMA designee, thanks. So, I'm assuming, and actually, none of this has to change either. We just want to give people,
An opportunity,
the new members, opportunities, the, continuing members, if they want to change anything, so.
Other than the policy change and the addition of Kathy as chairman of the membership standards, we assume there won't be any chairman changes. But if the chairman feel like they'd like to change, they may.
You know what would probably be helpful is to have a list of the committees and who the chairs are and the members because I can't remember honestly who's on everything.
Right, so
That might be helpful to have.
We'll have
And can I ask? This has confused me since I've started.
Okay.
With operations and policy.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Wouldn't it make more sense to combine it, and wouldn't this be the time, if we wanted to combine it in? Because it seems like most of us are here, which is fine, but then it seems like I'm thinking of Jim. He's wonderful, but then he gives essentially the same report to us, and then in the morning and then again in the afternoon.
But that wouldn't change.
That wouldn't change.
Right.
You have to do that.
Yeah.
Right, but if we had, it wouldn't be,
Well, they always meet, these two committees meet jointly.
right, I'm wondering though if it would
If it
make
could be
sense
one
to
committee.
right, and then that way we wouldn't have 3/4 of the
And we
board
talked
on
about
it.
that last year when we decided, and the compromise that the committees would meet jointly. And I think part of it was I think it had to do with the strategic planning piece.
Yeah, it's
That
whatever you guys
there
want.
would be a place where these committees really would need to meet separately, and that their charges were significantly different enough that keeping two committees, but just having to meet
Are
jointly
they?
so it would be logistically less painful.
There are
The
some
policy
issues
doesn't
that
always
are
meet.
Right, doesn't always meet.
germane only to that committee.
But I kind of agree with Kate, maybe in a different way, that I'm not exactly sure what these committees are, and would be a little helpful also. What are the, why these committees and not other committees? Why not a committee on continuing education, which seems to be kind of an important topic now? Or other kinds of things. These are very internally focused kinds of committees that have to do with the operations of rails. And so they're not necessarily externally focused. So I'm just kind of wondering why these and not other types of committees.
Well, we merged operations because it was the finance committee
And the
and
personnel.
and the
And personnel,
personnel
yeah.
committee, but we ended up meeting all the time at the same time. So, yeah, so we merged those into operations.
Right, and office is co-chaired by the treasurer. As part of its charge.
And that was, right.
Those are the financial aspects of operations.
I mean,
And we also have a member advisory group, which is a completely other kind of animal. Some of them are
Non-board related.
appointed, some of them
But-
are
but
elected, and
that's not a-
they,
That's not a board.
That's
committee.
not a
no,
board
but I'm
meeting.
just, they deal with a lot with, like, for example, CE, they talk
Right.
about that.
because the goal
So,
with that is to get involvement
member
from the
involvement.
members to
Right.
make sure we're hitting what they want.
right.
And that committee is more, are not board members.
No.
Correct.
That's
No.
correct.
It's all membership.
In fact, they can't be board members.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So I won't volunteer for that one.
And the consortia committee is combined as board members and non-board members.
Yes, and so
Right.
is delivery.
And delivery as
Yeah.
well, yeah,
And the standards will be as well.
Yes.
and standards. Okay?
Well, we can bring all this back in August, obviously, but in
In
terms
the
of.
meantime, you
of-
will send out a list of the committees and
Yes.
who's, yeah, okay.
But I guess I need some guidance if you want to combine something.
I think we should stay with committees as we have now, and I hate to send this issue to the policy committees, but it
Not a
really needs
bad
to be
idea.
resolved and talked about there and presented there and then brought back to the board
Okay.
for the discussion, rather
That's a
than try to
good-
make a decision today on the limited information we have.
That's a great idea.
And certainly if you're looking at eliminating a committee, that committee should be involved in those discussions as well.
Or merging.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's a
And
great
Nan also
idea.
had a good idea.
What was it? Seems like I did.
No, well, it could be a committee of the whole, because it is information that does inform us for the board meeting. Although there are two other, Kate brought up the good point that you do need to be concerned about a quorum. If you have a very large committee, then you need to have more people
Right.
there. And on the other hand, committee meetings are always open to everybody, so you can come and sit in if you want to. As I realized.
Let's go back.
I like your idea. I think
Okay.
it's,
Yeah.
Leave it as it is. If
Yeah.
you can come, you can come. I mean, for
I mean, it's been working fine, really. It's just.
It's been expedient.
We're just, it's just
We're
when
getting our
you
stuff
go
done.
to reappoint, it makes you just kind of stop and think.
Yeah.
But tangentially, speaking about committees and operations, the member advisory group, are their meetings, do we get, is that part of the Rails e-news that we find out when they meet, or is that a?
It's in the e-news, it's also usually in the operational report.
Okay, just, I guess it just kind of was.
And they meet,
And their meetings are also on the website.
they meet quarterly?
They meet every other month.
Every
Meetings
other-
are also on the website. So
They
there
just
are
had a
three
meeting, I thought,
places.
didn't they?
There's a mag section on the website. And
They're gonna
for
be next
the
month.
upcoming year are also there.
Thank you.
Shall we move on to the library system proposed rules and standard changes? And Dee?
Yes. So there is the draft that that Lauren mentioned also is in your packet. And Also, along with a couple of memos that I wrote to Anne, one in May when this was first discussed, and then one just last week. As I say in my letters, my concern is that these proposed changes are restrictive rather than expansive. I highlighted some of my concerns related to continuing education, consulting, planning, reduced focus on members, and the lack of any mention of cooperative purchasing. We will be doing a very substantive analysis of this document and encouraging members to respond. We'll do the analysis, but we really need the library community to comment. As Lauren said, there's a pretty extended period in August. We go through August 18th, and then there's another period after it goes to ISLAC. I think this is a major issue for us. We want to be able to be the kind of system that the members need us to be, and so I hope we can work in a really positive way with the State Library to make these the best they can be.
Are you conferring with our counterparts at Heartland Library
Yes.
System so that we can have a?
Yep.
I assume.
Yeah, Leslie and I have talked a couple times. Yep. And Bill was asking me, they had their board meeting week 2, I think, so I'm assuming that they talked about it, but I haven't talked to Leslie since. So,
Dee?
Yes.
Dee, excuse me. This is Susan from Coal Valley.
Oh, hi, Susan. Yes.
Hi, how's it going? As a trustee, it would be very helpful for me to have a bullet list or a fact sheet
Yes.
to use as a basis for making comments. So would that be forthcoming?
Yes, that's what
We discussed that in the committee
Yes,
meeting
we'll be
this morning,
doing a
that,
point by point, showing the changes from the old to the new, and as you say, a bullet, these are the things that we need to be concerned about.
And I hate to say this, but perhaps even a template that we just need to affix our names to.
We'll see what we can do, sure. I mean, and there's a lot in here. There's a lot of stuff in here, and it's not just about systems, it's about libraries. And a lot of you are trustees or library directors, and so, and it's about consortia and LSAPs. So I think there's a lot of different things to think about, but, yeah. Yes, Murray.
At the policy meeting this morning, Carrie Pearson asked that at black letter, strike out one, so we know exactly what
Yes.
changes we made from existing.
We're gonna,
law to
yes.
Current, and that's gonna be done.
Well, I don't know where the previous document is online, but it's an old document, I want to say, but we're going to do our best to find it.
Good.
I would assume the state library has an electronic copy.
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, what I saw, I went on the blog that Lauren, you comment, and they have the current rules there, but it's not in any kind of electronic format.
Oh, okay.
So, but I'm sure we can find it. Yeah, I think that would be a great way of doing it.
Yeah.
A great way of doing part of what needs to be done.
Oh, okay. I was also going to say, Susan, I had some of the same things that you had mentioned, because I think we need to make it as simple as possible for people to voice their concerns, and they may not take the time to draft something themselves. But would it also be helpful, or do we think we would get involvement if we had some type of online discussion where
well, that's why I wrote a blog about it.
Right, I read the blog post, but I mean something where people could ask direct questions and get, immediate type of answer.
We can talk about that.
Maybe Adobe Connect or the forums. Like, I'm not really sure, but I feel like there needs to be a big push on this, obviously. Not just from, you and Mary and Jane, but also from us as board members. Like, I mean, I would be willing to go and, mention it next week at delegates, if, and just to start getting the word out at different things, and having all of us as representatives going out and making sure that people realize the seriousness of this, and that we need to be proactive and getting the word out, asking Bob to put something in.
Yeah, I asked Bob to
ILA.
talk
I mean,
about
I'm sure
it.
you're doing a lot of
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
I want to make sure that
Yeah.
people take action and significant action, not just a couple of us.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we'll see what we can do. We want to make it clear as well as simple in
Yes.
terms of what the problems are.
Right.
Any other questions about the rules and standards? Next item on the agenda is 10.1, the bylaws revision, and Dean will discuss that with us.
Yes. So at last month's meeting, you approved some changes to the bylaws that had to do with language that was in them related to Rails establishment. And you asked us to do some work on language related to conflict of interest and a conflict of interest form as well. So we discussed this morning, as Ben alluded to earlier, and in your packet, you will, on page 5, is that the first change? Yes, of the bylaws that says 1714 draft revision. Under N, you will see where it says each member of the Rails Board of Directors, blah, blah. And the committee wanted to add in the last line, conflict of interest form will be filed with the Rails Executive Director.
Not should be. No question about it.
Right. And sorry, I skipped over the first line, shall also file a conflict of interest form annually or within 60 days of assumption of office, comma, certifying the member has no prohibited, etc. So that's the change. And then in the conflict of interest form itself, under H certification, we added after in interest include, but are not limited to the following. And then under disclosure, we took out the word possible and added contractual because possible seemed too broad. And it really, I mean, we all have other relationships. That's part of what makes this a strong group, too, because we are connected to libraries in a variety of ways. It's really that contractual piece that makes it a possible conflict. So, I think we're good to go with...
Is there a motion that we approve the bylaws changes?
So moved.
Moved by Ben, seconded by Kate. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, wait, excuse me, requires a roll call vote. Emily?
Sarah Armstrong. Yes. Murray Barr.
Aye.
Dave Barry.
Aye.
Karen Bernstein.
Yes.
Bill Coffey.
Yes.
Kate Hall. Dan Hilliard. Jeanette. Kathy Parker.
Uh-huh.
Gary Person.
Yes.
Susan Howard.
Yes.
Ben Shapiro.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Oh, my God.
I don't want us, did you?
Yes.
Dane Ward.
The motion carries.
Indubitably.
Without a shadow of a doubt, indubitably. All right, second item on the agenda is the approval of the conflict of interest form, as it's called. Is there a motion to approve the conflict of interest form as amended?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, moved by Ben, seconded by Nan. Is there any further discussion on the conflict of interest form?
Do we have to actually approve the form itself or just the policy? Just a
Good question.
I don't know.
The form, I think wouldn't require, if we do decide to do it, wouldn't require a roll call because it's not a change to the
No,
bylaws
it's not a roll
itself.
call.
It's an extension of
I
how
don't
we're
think
going
it
to
ever
operate.
hurts.
I don't think it's
So we
Then
might be setting a precedent
it's
every
locked
time
in
they come up with a
stone
form.
for Forms, and I think forms
Well,
should be
that's
developed
true.
by staff
and the people
'Cause it's
in charge of the
procedural, not
committee and
policy.
administrating the policy.
Yeah.
Rather
I think-
than lock it in storm, lock
Good
it forever
point.
until
Right.
amended by a full.
Good thing Murray's an attorney.
board. So-
We could simply say that we approve the rewording of the form and leave it to the executive director to manage all documentation that goes with execution of any
So
policy.
you're
how I thought
retracting
things
your
worked.
motion.
I'm retracting my motion.
Okay, great. That's a good point. Thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda is board calendar. And you all
Yes.
received a copy of the board calendar
Yeah,
in your
there's-
packet.
it's on the back of my memo. So as you will see, at this point, we are just recommending two meetings not primarily held here. We do want to be in East Peoria in September. We're going to have an open house with their new digs. And then we thought would be good to go up to Vernon area in the spring. They're one of our new video conference sites, beautiful library.
That's not on.
No, it's just in the memo.
Okay,
I'm
in the
sorry.
memo,
Yeah.
right.
We just
So
haven't picked the
Sep-
date yet.
Sep-
But the dates and times are all the same
Yeah.
from what you presented,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, so if that, and just leave it at 2 for now, and then the winter is long, and all of a sudden, we don't want to
Trying
be
to get to
traveling.
East Peoria
Yeah.
or Galesburg.
Or Galesburg
Yeah.
was not a good experience.
And if we do East Peoria, we'd be able to stay overnight?
Oh, sure.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
In or out?
And East Peoria is when they're opening their new. or-
Well, it's been
It's
open for
open,
a
but
while.
dedicating,
Yeah,
let's say,
well,
their new facility. Or
yes, we'll have a ribbon cutting.
recognizing their new facility.
Maybe we'll have a sign by then.
When did we go there? Was that in May?
In May, I think.
May?
Yeah.
May,
So they were
right?
still
May we
painting
were
at that point.
Yeah. They were painting.
Painting, yeah.
Putting walls up.
Oh, right, they wasn't all
wait,
done
yeah.
yet. Yeah, that's right. I haven't been there.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was Memorial Day weekend.
So I don't know, do you usually approve the
No,
board
I
calendar?
think,
Okay, I mean, we didn't change the schedule. Okay,
You're all aware of it now.
No, to approve the board calendar, post it.
We-
Oh, the fiscal year.
Okay.
okay.
Didn't we approve it last month?
We didn't approve we said we were going to come back to you with some locations.
Right. We still have to approve the dates.
Is
So-
there a motion to approve the board calendar?
So moved.
Kate moved,
I'll second.
Kathy seconded, K and K.
For Dave. We're too quick.
So April will be in Vernon.
I don't know, I just wasn't paying attention.
Okay.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, we haven't gotten the other ayes. Kathy, or Karen?
Yes.
Yes. Did
Did you not hear me?
No, we
You
didn't hear
didn't hear
you.
my aye. Okay, louder aye.
All right, and Susan, we didn't hear your aye. Or nay.
That's an aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And Laura said aye. too.
And Laura, excuse me.
Do we still have Laura on the phone?
Yes, I'm still here.
Laura? Now we know. Okay, the board calendar is approved as submitted and voted.
I do have one other item I
All
should have
right.
brought up under my report, if you don't mind. This is mostly for our new board members. You will have, or you do have, a Rails email address. And and we'll send out to everybody, not just the new board members, instructions on using this email. I have actually paper copies for the three of you. And, any questions about how to use it or provide a linkage or a notification to your other email, you can ask IT. They'll send the email out to you, so.
Okay. Would the new board members have a list of staff or at least department heads so they would
Sure,
know?
we can, I mean, I know Emily has already sent them some things, but we'll, yeah. And just so you know, this email address is where we send all of our packets and things, just to keep, it's just to kind of keep you, keep the whole FOIA thing and OMA and, whatever, under control.
And it needs to
So-
be checked with regularity.
Yes, it does.
But
Or-
there's a really good program that they can help put on that will ding you on your laptop, or you can get it set up on your phone, or
Not if it's a Mac, apparently, I don't know.
Okay,
Is that
well-
true? I don't know.
But she gets it on her iPhone, so.
indeed I do.
Yeah, but yes, those are the questions for IT.
Okay.
They're very helpful.
They're nice.
Item number 12, Rails board member reports. Any reports from Rails board members?
I actually had it could be new business, could be a question, just a query, and that is the status of administrative ready reference. And if that might be a possible project or something to work on. That comes up on the director's list every so often. It was a
recently,
big
too.
thing a dozen years ago, and it was really very helpful. And every couple of years, the state library wants us to go. It's a sample policy book.
Oh.
Of all kinds of operational
Okay,
policies.
doesn't,
for
you
public
can't tell
libraries.
that that's what it is.
By
the name.
Does that,
It
must be old enough that you know.
Got an LS,
I've never heard of it.
It's not, it was LSTA, not LSCA.
Can we call it sample policy
Yeah,
book?
Dee, this is the
Yes.
state library.
Yes.
We are working on a re-editing and a new version of the Ready Reference,
Oh.
administrative Ready Reference with Phil Lenzini. Our target date for completing it is the end of September.
Yay,
Well,
that's
then,
great.
well,
Thank you,
then.
Pat.
Then
Rails won't have to worry about it. Well,
and will that just be posted on Web Junction again, or will it be a print publication?
no, can't be print.
Could be a link
We
to
know
the
it will
print
be
it yourself.
it'll be residing on the state library website when it's
good.
completed,
Makes it easier.
and the print version, that decision hasn't been made yet.
And out of curiosity, have you solicited libraries for their sample policies, or are you creating all new stuff, or how are you getting the content for it?
Well, the majority is coming from the contracted lawyer, Phil Lenzini, who had done it originally. And so most of the work what he is doing for us. But if there's anything that's missing, we'll be scouring the internet and perhaps contacting people for sample policies.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board member reports?
The Evanston Public Library is looking forward to the board development webinars that you're putting together, because we have a bunch of we have a couple of trustees. And we really want to work on our cohesion.
Yes,
I think it will be a big help.
Yes, I think Karen has been.
She's been beating me up about
Yeah.
this, but she keeps coming and saying, we don't have them yet.
Right.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to that.
Did I write in here about my trustee mentor? I thought I did. Yeah. Yeah, which I think is going to be another great thing.
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
If we can only get some of the other trustees who need it
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
menteed,
Yes.
that'd be wonderful.
Yep. Right.
Well, local library reports, Steinbeck Public Library was very pleased with, we didn't realize it was going to be such a big deal to get the check from.
Yes, it was a
White,
lovely
and
event.
Had state library folks come all the way, and Dee was there, and it was just, it was quite a day.
And you got a
I know
lovely.
Facebook posted midnight, gee, I think I better wear something better than shorts and a t-shirt. And it was really good that I did. So.
Very nice. Yeah.
Last call for board member reports. Any other board?
We're at the end of the meeting, and I've just been waiting the whole time for the meeting. I'm waiting for the secret handshake. The secret handshake.
Now we have to create one.
Nobody said anything.
The secret handshake is your password that was just given you. If there is nothing further, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved by Ben.
Make it sound like we've been here for hours.
I have been here for
We
hours.
have been here for hours.
But I mean, really,
We're assuming Kate, that's a second.
sure.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Then you'd be